Hello Aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and today we're going to do this very simple, fun bokeh background with some white flowers. Very simple. This is a beginner's level project. You can easily follow along to get the exact same effect. Our first layer, we're going to be working wet on wet, and I am using Bokeh watercolor paper. This is a block, which means it's glued on all four sides, and I don't have to tape it down. So I'm wetting the whole paper, and then I'm starting off with my light colors. I'm using a palette of warm yellows and browns. And I'm painting in a circular fashion to kind of mimic the bokeh lights that we're going to be adding in once I get all the paint in. So some of the colors that I have here are quinacridone gold, burnt sienna, sepia, and burnt umber. So I'm varying my colors. You do want some areas lighter, you want some areas darker for some interest. Now you can see this line that I have there. That is because I used my palette knife when I'm lifting up the paper and it scraped along the sides. I'm so mad at myself. Ah! So I'm just going to keep going with it, and hopefully when it dries it won't be that noticeable. So I have to watch that. I'm splattering in, while my paper is still wet, some of that quinacridone gold. It does add some splotches and some more interest to the background. And I'm sorry, my big head keeps getting in the way here. So using just a round sponge dauber, you can also use stencils. If you use stencils, then obviously you have to wait for your paper to dry in order to lift the paint. But you can get some good effects here by using a sponge dauber and lifting the paint while your paper is still damp. So I'm just going in and adding as many bokeh lights as I feel makes a good composition. I hope you guys are enjoying the spring/summer weather and you are all in good health. I'm sorry I have not been posting regular videos. This summer is extremely busy. I have a daughter that's graduating high school. I just bought a new home in Florida. So things are a little crazy, and we have to send her off to university in Savannah, Georgia. She's taking art, guys. I'm so excited. She's going to SCAD. So you're going to let that whole paper dry, and then if you want to lift up even more, I have stencils here, so I'm showing you guys options. You can add even more brightness and lift up more areas. I'm using a magic eraser, just a chunk of that, or even a wet sponge will do, or a wet paper towel, whichever you want to use. And I'm just lifting some of those areas that I already went over with my dauber. Okay, letting a little more light in. You don't have to. You could skip this step if you'd like. I sort of dabbled in gouache a little bit, but I don't remember much about it. So I thought I would buy some and check it out. I know it's supposed to be between watercolor and acrylic, and it does help to use a opaque paint on your top layer so that if you want to use light colors, it's going to show through more. Decided to use gouache for these white flowers. I'm using a chisel brush, and as you can see, you're basically just using it like a stamp and dabbing it down, always keeping the point on the inside of the flower in the middle. So it makes perfect petals, guys. Super easy. Now, depending on which way your flower is pointing, if you're looking at it straight on or if they're on an angle, I will adjust the petals accordingly. And then I'm making some that are just tiny little buds, doing some clusters and some flowers by themselves. Once you have as many flowers as you find appealing, then you could come in and put your branches. I'm using a script liner brush and a sepia for this part. So when I make the branches, I kind of like to do shorter lines and do little joints because it makes the branches look a little more realistic and they go off in different directions instead of one long line. Okay, so once I'm done with the branches, I'm going back in with my white gouache to just make those flowers a little bit more opaque. It does dry a little chalky and you can still see through it a little bit. So another coat will do the trick. You could also strategically place your flowers in areas where you have the darker background. They'll pop a lot more. These flowers are so simple and easy for beginners because, like I said, you're basically just using your brush like a stamp, and as soon as you lay it down, it makes the perfect little petals. Now I'm just using a dotting tool and some dark gouache to add little centers to my flowers. Using dark watercolors will also work. It's just that the gouache I bought is that jelly consistency, and so it's thick and it's easier to pick up on the dotting tool. You could also use the very end of your watercolor brush will also make dots. So if you still find that the flowers are not popping out enough, I'm giving you another option. I have an acrylic pen that I'm using, and I'm just going around the edges of the flowers to define those a lot more, make sure that they're completely opaque. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. Let me know if you're going to give it a go, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.